Good afternoon, everybody. Pigskin Pete here. Happy Tuesday to everybody. Listen, a quick announcement. I do apologize. No live show again today. This video is actually being pre-recorded on Monday. I'm uploading it Tuesday, which will be today when you see it. But anyway, there's no live show on Tuesday. I will get back on schedule on Thursday. I just have a lot going on. I apologize. I know I didn't do one last Thursday either. I will get back on a schedule. The end of the college football season, the beginning of the holidays is crazy for everybody. And I also will be announcing which bowl games I will be doing live streams for. I still have to go through the schedule and fit it into my schedule. Any bowl games that I most likely stream live will be probably Friday night games or Saturday games, except for maybe around Christmas. I might be able to squeeze a weekday game in there. But I'll let you guys know what it is. If you're new here, please hit the like and subscribe button. I do these college football live streams and videos and live play-by-play and reaction videos to primetime college football games during the college football season. And I still upload and do live streams year-round, even in the off-season. We have a lot of fun here. What I did want to do today is I haven't really got into – there's been a lot of coaching changes. Georgia Tech, Louisville, Kansas State. Obviously, Kansas hired Les Miles. North Carolina hired Mack Brown. Anyway, I haven't had a chance to touch on any of that, really. So I want to do a little bit of that today. I just want to briefly go through some of these coaching changes. I'm not going to talk about Mack Brown. I do think these older coaches like Mack Brown and Les Miles, I do actually think that those were pretty good hires for their respective schools. I mean, for Kansas, it's a no-brainer because he's going to be the best coach that Kansas has had in a decade. When was it? What year was that? Kansas was actually a good team about a decade ago. They were all the way up to number 2 in the nation, if anybody can remember that. But the past 8-9 years has been abysmal for them. They went from number 2 in the country for a year or so and fell into complete oblivion and have been one of the worst teams in America for several years running now. I mean, they've gone several seasons without winning a game or two. So I think Les Miles would be good there, even though he's old. He's about, I guess he's about Nick Saban's age, so he'll have another good 5 years in him, I think. Same with Mack Brown. Mack Brown's about Nick Saban's. I think he's the exact same age as Saban, if not maybe a year older or younger. I don't know, somewhere around there. But Mack Brown took North Carolina from irrelevancy to a good program once, and I think he can do it again. And Mack Brown's a good coach. Just ask Texas. And he won a national title with them. They fired the guy because he had a couple of average seasons, I guess you would call them. And they've been on the struggle bus ever since they fired Mack Brown until this year, basically. So Mack Brown's a good coach. He'll do good there. I don't really want to spend a whole lot of time on those older coaches. I want to talk about some of these new exciting ones, right? First off, on the list, Georgia Tech. Man, I am still getting hate comments from Georgia Tech fans from the Paul Johnson videos that I did. They're still rolling in on a daily basis. These people are big mad at Pete. But you know what? I mean, this is exactly what I've been saying. So from what I can tell, right, all over social media, because that's the only place I know any Georgia Tech fans. I don't know any of them in real life. You don't see a whole lot of them on TV or anything like that. So just basically off Twitter and the internet, the interwebs, they seem to be very happy about their hire. And by the way, I agree. I think it's a great hire. Now, this guy's an Atlanta area native. He graduated from Georgia Tech, which is important, I think, to get somebody in there that really cares about the university and wants to build something. He was a graduate assistant coach for a couple of years. And he's been sort of all around the country doing coaching. But he's most recently been at Temple for 2 seasons, and his record at Temple was not great. But Temple is not an easy place to win at, number one. Number two, he wasn't there for long enough to really build anything. So I'm not going to judge him on his record. His record was 15-10 at Temple. But anyway, so this is what I've been saying about Paul Johnson. They've been settling for Paul Johnson for all these years. And yes, he won an Orange Bowl. I realize that. Yes, he won the ACC one time in his 12 years, which was vacated for reports of cheating. Well, I said that they cheated, and these Georgia Tech fans' head almost exploded. That was never proven. Whatever. Reports of cheating. My point is, this guy, I think, will do a better job than Paul Johnson. And if he doesn't, what did you have to lose? I mean, if you're only going to win an average of 7 or 8 games a year for 12 years and win one Orange Bowl, one New Year's Six bowl game every dozen years, then that doesn't cut it. So I think this is a great hire. And I think that after we get out of this Paul Johnson era that all these Georgia Tech fans are obsessed with, they love Paul Johnson, a lot of them, most of them that I come in contact with, loved the guy, loved him. They did not like to hear Pete talking bad about Paul Johnson. How dare you, sir? Anyway, this is exactly what the direction they should have gone in, and I applaud them. So we'll see what this guy can do. It's going to take this guy a few years, I think, because they've recruited triple option players on offense for all this time that Paul Johnson was there, and that's what they've got to work with. And I think that once they get out of that and start recruiting more skill players, is the way I'm going to put it, in a more spread type offense or even a more traditional type of offense, then you'll see a turnaround there at Georgia Tech, and that'll be fun to watch. So good hire getting Jeff Collins, you Tech guys. Next on the list, Louisville. Now, whenever Petrino got fired, everybody thought Jeff Brom, who was an alum there, played there, coached there, was going to leave Purdue after his amazing season there and come running right home to Louisville. Well, now Louisville fans are big mad at Jeff Brom. They were like, oh, he stabbed us in the back. Here's the reality. Purdue backed up the Brinks truck on that man. He's one of the highest paid coaches in America at Purdue. I mean, they're paying this guy over $6 million a year, which is a crazy amount of money at Purdue. I mean, so it was hard for him to turn that down. Now, could Louisville have paid him that much? Maybe. But Louisville right now is in a bad spot. I almost feel sorry for this guy. They hired Scott Satterfield from Appalachian State. And this is a really good coach, guys. Appalachian State has been an unbelievable football program since this guy took over there. He's been there for a while. He's won a ton of games. 51-24 was this guy's record. And that's really good. I don't care what school you're at. And he made Appalachian State sort of a household type name for being a Group of 5 program. So I think this was a great hire. If you're not getting Jeff Brom, which obviously that did not happen, I think this is a great hire. This guy Scott Satterfield has been offered Division I jobs, Power 5 jobs year in, year out in recent years, and he hasn't taken them. So I think what this guy has done is said, I need time to rebuild this thing. Louisville has spent a lot of money since they joined the ACC, since they came out of the American Athletic Conference several years ago and joined into a Power 5 football program in the ACC. They put a ton of money into their stadium renovations, making it bigger, making it nicer, a ton of money into facilities. They've dedicated a lot of resources to their football program. People have always thought of Louisville as a basketball school because historically they have been. But Louisville's athletic department and their boosters are trying to change that narrative. And they almost succeeded. Well, at least they succeeded into getting into relevancy when they had a couple of 2 or 3 good years there with Lamar Jackson and Bobby Petrino. I mean, they were a top 15 team for a couple years there, even as high as up in the top 6 or 5 or 6 at some point. So, yeah, so I think this is a great hire. So Louisville nailed it. And again, I think you need to give this guy a little bit of time, but I think he's going to do great. So that's 2 good hires for the ACC. And since I'm an ACC guy, I really like to see that. Last and not least on this list so far today, Kansas State. Bill Snyder finally retires. Oh, I'm going to miss Bill Snyder. He was such a great inspiration for videos for me to make. I was just going to continue to make Bill Snyder videos until he actually did retire. which I never thought I would see the day. This is another one, sort of like Paul Johnson, where I would make a couple of Bill Snyder videos every year in the offseason talking about how he's old and how he needed to retire and that program needed to move on and get somebody young in there, somebody with some vision. And the Kansas State fans, man, boy, do they hate Pete. They never even stuck around after hating Pete. A lot of these people, once they realize I'm not a complete moron, which is still debatable, they'll hang around after they see me bash their team, and finally they get what these videos are all about. But Kansas State fans, they didn't stick around. They hated Pete and left. So you don't understand what this guy's done for this program. You don't understand the shape that Kansas State was in before he got there. He made us relevant again. And I'm telling you, I get all that. They named a stadium after this dude. I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he's a hell of a football coach to take Kansas State from irrelevancy to where they are now. I never debated any of that. That was never my point about Bill Snyder. My point about Bill Snyder was he stayed too long. The guy was there for 30 years. The guy's 80 years old, 79 years old. He's about to be 80, like tomorrow or something. 80. That's too old, people. I'm sorry. It's too old to be a head football coach at a Power 5 program. It just is. I mean, are you going to go sit on a recruit's couch and tell that recruit that you're going to be there for 3 or 4 years while he's there, and he's going to believe you? This kid's looking at him thinking this guy might die before I graduate. Like, there's no way you can promise me you're going to be there for 3 years. Not only that, despite all the great things that Bill Snyder did for Kansas State, he won one conference championship in 30 years in the Big 12. And I get it. That's an accomplishment. But it's still, one every 30 years. It's like, here's the way I look at it. These programs, when they're looking at, if they have a coach come in there and take them from bottom dwellers to relevancy, relevancy should not be your ceiling. This is the same thing I said about Paul Johnson. Once you get to relevant, then it's time to move on to somebody else who could take you to the next level, and so on and so forth. Just settling for the guy who got you relevant for 30 years, I don't understand that mentality. Anyway, so Kansas State, finally Bill Snyder retires. Kansas State goes out and gets this coach, Chris Clemson. Can't even read my own handwriting. This guy was the head coach at North Dakota State University, which is an FCS school, and has won 6 national titles, FCS national titles, in 7 years. Now, basically what that is the equivalent of Nick Saban in the FCS. I mean, this guy's just been dominating the FCS. He was part of a turnaround of a program, too. Now, he wasn't the head coach whenever that the turnaround happened at North Dakota State. He was a defensive backs coach. But he eventually worked his way up to the head coaching job and kept that thing rolling. And they're just a juggernaut in the FCS. I mean, just killing everybody every year. They're the Alabama of FCS football. And I like this hire, too. I think this is a great hire. This is exactly what Kansas State needed. Exactly. I like this hire better than going out and getting somebody like Les Miles for Kansas. This is a guy who still has a lot of time in coaching left. He's a young guy. He's had experience winning at a high level. He's had experience turning around programs that are in places that are hard to recruit and winning, like North Dakota, right? And he fits perfectly into the Big 12 with his style of offense as well. So I love it. I love it. I love it. I think you're going to see Kansas State take a quick turn for the better. That's not disparaging to Bill Snyder for any Kansas State fan who's watching this. But I think that this is going to be a big-time upgrade. Maybe not the first year, because he's going to have to change some things, the way he does things and stuff like that, and get his guys in there. But within 2 or 3 years, I think what you'll see is Kansas State will take a turn for the better. Will they compete for Big 12 titles in a year or two? Probably not. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did in 3 or 4 years, at least in the conversation. Okay, I'm not saying they're going to win it, but at least be in the conversation, which is better than what they've been doing for a while now with Bill Snyder. So I love the hire. Home runs on all three of those hires. Louisville, Georgia Tech, and Kansas State nailed it, I think. And I even think that North Carolina nailed it too. We'll see about Les Miles at Kansas. But anyway, that's my thoughts on those three coaches. I'm sure there'll be more big-name hires that come along that we're going to want to talk about here once the season's over, and I'll get into those. But rest in peace, Paul Johnson. Rest in peace, Bill Snyder. And rest in peace, Bobby Petrino. Two of these guys probably will never coach again in Division I football. Petrino might, because he's still got plenty of time. You know, he's not old enough to retire yet. But I don't know who's going to hire this guy. He's now been fired from 2 jobs. One for just a scandal, and the other one just for running the program into the ground. So I don't know. I don't know about Petrino getting another big time job anytime soon. But anyway, I'll see you guys on Thursday at 4 p.m. for the live stream. Have a great day. Pigskin Pete checking out.